Okay. Welcome back to We Are Liars podcast. Guys, we have tried to record this 3 times. Okay, so we are going to be talking to Serena Skybourne. Welcome to the podcast, Serena. So sorry that this has been such a challenging morning for us.
It's okay. I'm just so happy to be here.
We are
Yay.
so happy to have you. Came highly requested by many listeners. We were getting DMs, we were getting Instagram comments about, can you have Serena on the podcast? And we were like, absolutely. So we're just really thankful that you took the time to talk to us today about the wildness that is Pretty Little Liars. You have 21 specific episodes to Pretty Little Liars on your channel. And when we were discussing off air, you said that you actually were going to read the books and then decided you're going to start the series and then continue to read the books. So, I guess if you want to give everyone a little bit of history on your journey with Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah, sure. So I heard about the books originally when I was like 15, and it kind of inspired me to look at the show because everyone was saying it was really good, everyone at school, and I was like, okay. And then I was very behind though, so I had to catch up. But by the time the seventh season was coming out, I was kind of watching it alongside everyone else and then waiting months and months for the finale. I think they had a point where it was like a few months before the next few episodes came out. It was a really long
Mm,
wait. So I
yeah.
watched the finale of the whole show along with everyone else. So that was kind of my journey with the show.
Right. And Michelle will see there actually, when we get further into the seasons, there's part A, part B,
Yes, like
which is
60.
confusing. And so sometimes like 6A won't have anything to do with 6B. And like it's a continuation, obviously, of the show, but like for the fans and people on message boards, and like we were all like, what's 6B gonna have? What's 5A gonna have? I don't remember when this starts, but I feel like it's maybe like 4 on that, like the seasons are cut in half and then there's like so they'll like wrap up a storyline and then go into another storyline. So,
Exactly.
yeah,
Why?
Very
Why did they do that?
I don't
Oh,
know. Who
okay.
knows? Well, I mean, maybe eventually as we continue this podcast, I will research some more and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
figure out what that was about.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is something that does happen, and like to, I guess, really get everyone anticipating the season, they're like, okay, we're not going to release like 7B, which is like the finale, portion until like this time. And so made everyone wait and get that anticipatory like anxiety of like what's going to happen. And so all in real time. It was a wild ride, right, Serena? It was a wild
It was
time in your
amazing
life.
though. It was such a community though, because everyone was trying to dissect clues at the same time. So it
Yep,
really brought people together as well.
it did. Yeah.
That's
It
fun.
was the first time, and I know we talked about this when we started the podcast, but the first time that I, as someone who was definitely older than the demographic to watch the show, was like on message boards, like what is happening? What's everyone's theories? And just watching the people tweet to Marlene King and just everything that was happening. The fandom really exploded for this show, and it still continues to this day.
It's
So
crazy.
yeah. So I'm glad to have another PLL viewer. What would you say is your relationship to the show, however? Like, did you love it all the way through? I know it's probably hard to answer that question because it's Pretty Little Liars and how could you love everything about it? But I've watched several of your videos, and it's funny, we were supposed to have you on for the Truth Up Day episode, which one of the first videos I watched of yours, you're like, that was the worst episode. I was like, that's so funny that she was supposed to be on that specific episode. So,
Yeah.
yeah, like what is your feeling towards this show? Your relationship.
Well, that specific episode was not good for me because I had so many problems just
Mhm.
with how the school was handling bullying and stuff. It just really set me off, like the way the principal was just victim blaming Emily almost. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was one episode I had a problem with.
Yeah.
Overall, I love the show. And I think a lot of my fans who watch my videos think that I don't like the show, but all my criticisms come from a place of genuine love because I just want it to do better sometimes because
Yes.
this show is a huge example of like wasted potential because the setup is phenomenal. And by the way, there's so many good things about it. Even in the seventh season, it has so much merit, and there's a reason why it was so successful. I just think they could have done more with it, you know? So that's
Mm,
why I criticize. It's like a hate-love relationship, you know? But it is
absolutely.
great. It is great. I can't, it's a bit cheesy sometimes, but I love that. You know, it's
Yeah,
such a soft spot for it, even
Yeah,
now.
absolutely.
that makes
Yeah.
Yeah.
total
I
sense.
love that you said, and honestly, Michelle and I can sympathize with you because I mean, we in the past when we did our Gossip Girl podcast and a little bit with this podcast too, because the show is so salacious, so ridiculous, so dramatized, and as you said, corny at times. It's hard to love every minute of it, and those fans out there that are uberly obsessed with the show don't sometimes really see past some negative things about it, a lot of problematic things for sure. So we're in the same boat as, we're criticizing or critiquing something that is so beloved and it's out of love because we want it to do better. We want it to be better. But
Yeah.
then again, it is in completion. There's nothing we can do to change it, but we can have the discussion of what we would change if we could. So I'm glad that you also have dealt with that backlash a little bit.
Oh, it's
Also,
like,
I think that's in any fandom, and this is entertainment after all, right? Like we are here to critique it and give our thoughts and have conversations about it. So I
Right.
always find it interesting when the people come to defend and get all, ebb and uproar, and you're like, guys, it's a TV show,
It's not that serious. It's
right?
it's not real life.
It's not real life.
So
yeah.
the episode we are discussing at hand tonight is episode 21 of season 2, titled Breaking the Code. This episode aired on February 20th, 2012, written by Janelle Lennon and directed by Roger Cumble. So, when a surprising new victim of A is revealed, the PLL small group may get one person larger. Meanwhile, Ren comforts Spencer through family issues as Ezra's new opportunity pushes him from Arya. Michelle just had a panic attack, I think, with the Ren
I
stuff.
was screaming. I don't
Me
want
too.
to go right into the Ren and Stimpy of it all, but like I was screaming. Although I thought the way that like Spencer was in that scene, I know she was drunk. I felt like I was watching a movie.
It felt
Anyway,
I was hiding under my chair. Like I was so cringed out by the whole thing.
Troyan did a great job though.
She did.
Yeah.
She absolutely did. Spencer, as I teased last week, Michelle, got money from a relative, her
Yes,
brother
she did.
Jason.
Yes. Yes.
$2,000 to give to Jonah. The girls are kind of questioning who this relative is, and she says, "Oh, they just want to remain nameless." And it's only going to be safe if Arya and I go because I'm the bank and Arya is the face that he knows. So they do meet up with Jonah, and things don't really go that well. The girls are super disappointed because they give him the $2,000 and all he seemed to give them was this address. And he says that Vivian was really happy with this information, so he doesn't really understand why the girls are so upset about this.
I love Spencer. She's like, give me back $1,000. You did not provide all the information. There's no phone number here. And he's like, no, this is what you get.
He's like, "This is what you get. This was already what I should have been paid for. So now I have the money, and that was the information. Like you literally just paid
Right.
me to get this information." So Spencer, now Serena, I know you have in the past talked about how Spencer is your favorite liar. Do you still feel this way? Rewatching, how many times have you rewatched the show? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Some episodes more than others. Like some episodes I've watched at least 10 times or 8 times, but some it's only maybe been twice, you know, but I've definitely watched the whole thing at least twice. But certain scenes, episodes I've watched more than once. And it my favorite liar would change a lot kind of depending on what age I was, but it's been Spencer for a long time, mainly because I judge it by the quality of their storylines, and I feel like she was consistently given the most to do. I was never bored. Whereas, but I mean, in terms of like character, like personality, I don't know if she's my favorite in that sense because she does get a bit snarky sometimes. I don't know. I don't mean in a bad way. I love it. I just mean recently when I was rewatching some scenes, like in this episode, I was like, why is she snapping at everyone? They'll just say a suggestion. She'll be like, oh no, Emily, that's not it. I'm like, wow, okay. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, they're under a lot of stress. So I understand that they're all a bit grouchy. So I'm not
Yeah.
going to judge. But in terms of like overall as a character, yeah. I mean, I'm such a Spencer fan. I think she's great. She's just so cool.
She is cool. She's
Really
so cool, and she does it. know it and it's at ease. Like it's so easy for her to be just who she is.
She's so
And
effortless. Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah,
Love
and it's
her.
really grounded. I mean, unfortunately, they say like, you act older than you are, and that's just like because life forces you to act older than you are, especially with like the grooming situation that we have going on with this Ren stuff, and whatever is going on with her parents. But I feel like, yes, Spencer is grounded and she knows who she is, and it's really refreshing to watch a teenager feel that way, even though obviously we know Troyan is like 23 or 4 at this point in the show. But like, yeah, I think she has the best trajectory of the show. And then we get over to Hannah later on, which I've heard you speak about how her character kind of does this little bit of a nosedive. And, obviously, candidly, like Michelle and I, she's our favorite currently at this moment.
She's in peak
Um,
Hannah season right now. This is peak
is
Hannah. I was
mhm,
watching it. I was like, I forgot how much I loved Hannah, like seasons 1 to 3. She's
yeah.
great.
Yeah,
Mm.
and much like Spencer, how you're saying Spencer's like a little bit brash in this season, Hannah kind of gets to be that a little bit. I feel like she takes over the Spencer of like, no, girl, like she kind of has this very like tone, and I've heard you say it in your videos, like the tone is like maybe not so nice.
Yeah, I just think, and I can't even judge because I think they're under so much
Absolutely.
stress and trauma, but it makes them sometimes snark at each other, but they really should be on the same side because they're all ultimately each other's friends. But I think they forget that because they're just so anxious.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
how could they not be, right? They have this entity that is constantly on their backs and constantly sending messages about how they're gonna blackmail and torture them for like the rest of their lives. So
Mm.
yeah, I can imagine it would be overwhelming. And they have each other, like you said, but Spencer also, has a sister. She has Melissa. And in this episode, they reveal to each other, well, she reveals to Melissa about Jason, which Michelle, you predicted that she was going to tell her right away. And she pretty much does.
Yeah.
This is their Jason thing. And Melissa feels like it's best if it stays between them, obviously not to tell anyone else. And they're both incredibly angry at their parents because of this secret that they've had. And Spencer kind of wants to sympathize with her mother a little bit. And Melissa is the one who's like, no, she lied to us. You can't be like, you, you know, you, it's not something that it's okay.
I just
I
don't
just,
believe Melissa. You're lying, Melissa. I was like, you knew this whole time. And this is
that Jason was her brother?
yes, this is a whole facade. I don't know. And then the law firm situation that comes in at the end.
hmm
I should have had a camera watching me watch it. I was so audible. Like I was like screaming my thoughts into the abyss. Well, I wrote it in the Discord, but like, yeah, this,
Should we bring back
my
like
God.
watches where we have it recorded on our phone and we can hear the commentary because people
Maybe
loved that.
you'll set it up for one episode or something,
Yeah.
but this one had me heated. Sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't mean to interrupt and go on to you know,
No, I mean this
the Melissa
situation
of it all.
seems to bring the girls a little bit closer, or
Yeah.
so what it seems. And then Caleb has sent them an updated file on the video of the NAT club that he's continually working on. And at this time, it continues, and someone, Jenna says, oh, she's coming up the stairs, and you expect it to be Allison, but it's Melissa in the video. Do you remember watching this for the first time, Serena? Because when the girls gasp audibly, it's like they always like in collective gasp together, and it drives me crazy. Like, especially I'm like,
Dramatic.
it's like girls.
Please. It is
Really?
cat.
Because
It's
I gasped with them.
Well, I guess because we've seen it before, so it was hard for me to be like, wow, was that really that unexpected? But I guess it is. I guess it is.
I don't gasp, so I always find it a bit I'm a bit like let's collect ourselves, please. But at the same time, I watched that episode multiple times, and every time I do forget that it's Melissa. So I always get a bit of a shock, and I'm like, oh wow, that's so bad actually.
Yeah.
So maybe their reaction is somewhat understandable because it's so weird as well because she's always talking about being honest and telling off their mum for not being honest, but she lies about so many things. So it's
Yes.
quite hypocritical. She's always been so hypocritical. That's the thing with Melissa.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
Mhm.
when we talked to Tori at EpicCons, she was like, yeah, Melissa always has to like be perfect and she always has to be like the debutante. And it's funny because as much as you have that on the outside, inside, she is toying with like a bunch of different demons.
Mhm.
And it's just interesting as the show progresses, the ones that we see from her. So I I find she's a very interesting character, and I wish honestly throughout the rest of the show we utilized her more because she could really, as Michelle sees, like she has two. There's like three sides to every story here with
Yeah.
her, and she does become very hypocritical very frequently.
Yeah, I would have
So,
loved to have, and maybe this does come and we get like a really weird, bad looking flashback, but I would love to see her and Garrett and Ian and Jason in high school. And I
mm,
want to see like that group. I want to see how they all got started. Do we get any
yeah.
of that? Maybe.
Mm, I don't really
Mm.
think so. While I would really enjoy seeing them younger
It would probably look
and
weird because they're older. So,
yeah, and
yeah.
how how we feel about when the actors try and act younger, we don't like it.
Yeah, it's bad news bears.
It's just the flashbacks don't read as well as current
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
But when they see this video, Spencer pleads to the girls, please do not say anything to the cops. Let me talk to Melissa first. And I felt like this was reasonable. Kat had asked, was Spencer right to have given Melissa the benefit of the doubt and to explain why she was in this video? I feel like she was in the right before she was
Yes.
telling everyone that her sister should go to jail. So, Serena, what do you
Absolutely.
feel?
I think I wrote this down because it annoyed me so much, like because I kind of took notes when I was watching it. Yeah, yeah, no, I wrote it down. I said that it upset me so much I had to stop and take notes because it
Yeah.
makes me so mad that they're willing to go to the cops knowing how corrupt the police force is and that they just won't handle things correctly and
Hmm.
basically throw her under the bus rather than giving Spencer 10 minutes just to talk to her in case Melissa has an explanation. And the way they're all jumping down Spencer's throat, did you guys notice that?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? They
Yeah.
were being so mean. They were like, yeah, whatever, we're gonna go tell her off and let's go to the police right now. Not even and acting surprised. It's her own
Mhm.
sister. I
I
just
know.
felt like that was not very like girls of them. Like that was not very nice.
Not at all.
Absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. And it really frustrated me to watch this. I was like, girls, calm down. Why are we getting so angry? Like, there has been multiple instances where people have looked really bad and, you gave them the benefit of the doubt. So why can't
Yep.
you give Spencer's sister her blood to, why would you throw her under the bus like that?
Not even that. Like, let's give Spencer some grace. Like,
Right.
let her go have the conversation. They were awful.
Before
Awful.
involving the police, like just
Right.
talk to her first, and then she's not going to
Right.
go anywhere. Just talk to her for 10 minutes, and then if she lies, okay, then go to the police, but give her a
Right.
chance before basically going to. Like, it's so bad, and the thing too is that they're acting like it's Spencer's fault or something, having this aggressive tone with her. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, of course she's gonna, and sort of putting this pressure on her as if they think she won't talk to Melissa. Of course she's gonna talk to Melissa at some point about this. Obviously, like it
Right.
was so silly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like this tone we see a lot as the show progresses, like what we were talking about with Hannah just before. This tone of like accusatory and angry at someone where you kind of should be listening to them. Like the girls all rotate with this tone, and it's like not becoming on
Mm-hmm.
them. And so
Mm-hmm.
like when one like the three gang up on the one always and
Always. It's always three against
always
one. And then, like you say, it rotates. And then it's a
yeah.
different, depending on the season.
Yeah.
Like,
So, I mean, maybe I don't know. Is that a group of high school kids? Is that accurate? I don't know. Like my friends and I didn't have this entity that was chasing us and threatening our families and things. So, I don't know if I would act the way that they do, but it's not nice to watch
No.
as an
No.
adult watching children. Like, don't speak to your friend that way. I don't know.
yeah. It's also the fact that there have been so many other incriminating videos in the past that they haven't handed in to the police or, where their mum did something wrong, they don't report them. And then it's Spencer's sister and they're really happy to jump to that. But literally just then they found out something embarrassing about Hannah's mother and she asked them not to judge her.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. Vic wants to know, Michelle, your thoughts on Melissa. Is she a part of the NAT club?
Yes. So
is.
my whole this is my thoughts, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but I feel like Melissa knew that Jason was her brother.
Okay.
She storms in because Allie finds out and kind of threatens that she's going to say something, and Melissa gave her the money.
Oh, so Melissa was the one to pay Allie
Yeah,
to keep quiet that
keep
their
quiet.
brother is the same?
Yep. Yeah. And
You
then
heard it here
like
first.
with the law firm, because Melissa works there, which we'll get to, I think that's how Allie kind of like solidified her thought. I don't know. I'm working on that, but
Okay.
yeah.
Well, maybe as we discuss more, you'll get more of
Yeah.
a solidified answer.
Yeah.
So Spencer tells Melissa that she'd like to meet her. They meet at a pub, which everyone who sent was like, since when is there a pub in town? It's only just the grill, and
I
that's it. There's no other restaurants.
It was actually my question for you. Was this in Rosewood, or did she leave and go outside of it, like to
Well,
Philly?
when Ren comes in, she says, "You work next door." So the hospital is, I don't know. Serena, do you have any clarification as to this pub?
That made me laugh so much because until you guys pointed out, I never noticed it before. Because now I think about it, they're always at the Rosewood Grill and
Always.
there's only one place to go. And I was like, where? Also, why is she at is that the same bar? No, because I think later in the show, there's another bar. I mean, I won't spoil anything, but there is another, something's converted into a
Yeah.
bar, right? But
Mhm.
that didn't exist at that point of the show. So it's just this new random, yeah, I have no idea, honestly.
Yeah, like all we have
Uh-huh.
is Rosewood Girl and Reeve Gauche, and this
Reeve
wasn't
Gauche.
Reeve Gauche. So
What's Reeve Gauche? How
Oh
many
my
times have
god.
I watched this show?
Reeve
Um,
Gauche. It's such a in passing phrase, but they had mentioned it's like this club restaurant that I guess serves underage kids because Hannah and Mona go there, and it's called Reeve Gauche. And we just thought the name was so funny that we now just like to bring it up in just
I
random sentences.
love it.
Yeah, we have a
Something.
Discord chat with our listeners, and in there we decided to make Reeve Gauche a chat about how ridiculous the outfits are on the show. So
that's so funny. I didn't even know what that was. And I watched the show how many times?
it's trust me, there's so much you can miss in
Reeve
this show.
Gauche. Reeve Gauche.
But yeah, so she's trying to meet Melissa at this pub and she's stressed, so she takes shots like in hiding because
Yeah.
I guess the waitress and waiter like they weren't paying attention to her. And then of course frickin' Ren comes in and he's like, "Oh, you have to stop meeting like this." And he's, ugh. What do you think about Ren, Serena? Do you think he's charming? I beyond cannot stand him. Sorry.
Well, I think he's hot, but I
Yeah.
mean, that's for someone that's appropriate for his age. I mean, like, someone older, maybe, because Spencer's underage at this point, I'm pretty sure of the show. And so, I think he's quite charming and everything. But I think he's a total creep though.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
especially, more about him later. I'm like, oh my goodness, this
Yeah.
is just weird. And also the way I can't get past it, the way the thing started with the fact that he was with Melissa first. It's just really weird. And also what bothers me so much now I look back on it, I think I've talked about this in the video, so I won't spoil it, but it's just the way he's so nonchalant about it and
Yes.
so chill around her as if it isn't the most awkward thing ever. It's
Yep.
really unsettling though. Like you literally dated her sister, engaged, all this. What are you doing?
Yep.
Like she's so young and she's there. Shouldn't he be concerned? Oh, she's underage. She's drinking at a bar. Maybe I should send her home. It's just very irresponsible.
He's got no shame. No
No
shame
shame.
in this game.
Shameless. Honestly, he doesn't care
And
who
it's
sees.
right. It drives
Right?
me. It
Oh,
drives me
good point.
crazy.
Who could see?
His lack of anxiety around everything, lack of embarrassment. It's like, does anything phase this man?
Right. Yeah.
No. They wanted us to be again like the Ezra Arya stuff. Like they wanted us to be in this fantasy of like, yeah, everyone could be attracted to everyone, but it's like, well, you gave us definitive ages of these people, and you really shouldn't be. You should
Mm,
really shouldn't have if you didn't want anyone to question your motives in making this an underage relationship.
mm.
Um, but we do see Melissa get into a car with Garrett, who's been following the girls this throughout the day, I guess because, he's always tailing them. And she texts Spencer that she can't meet up. She's got a class late, and Spencer obviously knows that that's a lie. So she's like, "What the hell is happening?" And Ren says, "Yeah, Garrett's been around with her. He's even escorted her to her doctor's appointments for the baby." When did this happen?
First, I also question here.
Mm.
Ren is doing rounds at the hospital, right?
Yeah. So why she wouldn't see
How
him
would
like
he
OB
know who's coming to her OBGYN appointments?
because he's a
Unless
creeper.
Right, unless the OBGYN is in the same hospital because there's one place, one medical park, as I paint this picture of Rosewood right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, Melissa, was she planning on going to the bar and then was like, hey, actually, Garrett, come pick me up. I'm outside of the bar?
Was she
That
ever planning? That's such a good.
right.
Was she
Yes.
ever intending on actually meeting Spencer? Did she have a feeling that she knew what Spencer was going to say, so she was trying to avoid it? It's
Mhm.
just a bit weird. I never noticed that until just yesterday when I was watching this episode, and I was like,
Yeah,
is
agreed.
this like some sort of joke? Like, did she know Spencer would see
Right.
her leave and thought it would be funny to just intentionally ditch her? I have no idea.
Right.
Right. And if
Yep.
I saw my sister like visually getting into a car, I'd be like, hello, I would be calling. But of course, then we wouldn't have an episode right now. But
Right. And also Melissa texted her first saying like the lie. Not that like I can't
right.
make it. She's like, no, I'm not like available. Like she's obviously lying. So I feel like Spencer, if she would have called her out about it, I mean, what she does later,
She does, yeah.
she would have been like, I don't know. I would have seen how it unraveled first before I called her out.
Maybe
So I
I
feel
would
like
have
that's what
taken a
Spencer did.
picture. I would have taken a picture and then bring it up later. Be
Mm-hmm.
like, what's going on? Why are you
I
getting into
think
the
you
car
guys
with
have
being
like
turd?
you guys have better self-control than me, I think for sure. Because I would have been so annoyed. I would have called him and like, excuse me, that is so rude. Like I can see you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I mean, obviously, in the moment and my relationship with my sister, I would have immediately called her and been like, bitch,
Same. Yeah,
what
I
are you
would have
doing?
called my sister too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But, it's a show. So Spencer, she calls Melissa frantically. Melissa does not pick up. So Spencer ends up having more shots under her overaged fella next to her. He's minding his own business, watching her take these shots. And then she ends up drunk back at his apartment or house or whatever it is, and he continues to let her drink in his presence. She's like drinking from the bottle, and she's very drunk, and she's flirting with him, and I wanted to scream. So the parts where she was seducing him, I'm putting that in quotes because there's no way that a 16-year-old could seduce an older aged person, but it was so beyond cringe for me that I couldn't watch it. I really couldn't watch it. What
Didn't
did you guys
didn't
feel?
this like dance that they were doing, and I'm gonna call it a dance, right? It actually to me felt like we were in a movie.
Yeah.
I think because we were in a different location. Like we haven't seen Ren's place yet, right?
No.
Interesting.
No.
Did anyone? I'm like, we got two new sets. We got this bar and we got Ren's apartment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just the way it was shot and just the camera like going around them, I was like, oh, this kind of feels like a movie. However, I was uncomfortable and I was very angry.
Yeah.
Serena, how did you feel with this?
Yeah, I felt very uncomfortable as well, especially because of the way their relationship is. This isn't spoilers because it was like this earlier, but where something happens like this where they have an episode more centered around each other and you think it's going to result in some sort of relationship and then they drop off on each other again and they don't see each other for a while and then they bounce back full on flirting as if nothing's happened and he's all over her and it's like yeah but then you disappear again. It's really weird though. Imagine if you were dating someone but they're not dating though. Do you know what I mean? It's so
Yeah.
weird. They like kiss or flirt and then he disappears for a while and he comes back saying he's obsessed with her. But it's like, where are you in those gaps in between? And it makes it more grimy somehow as
Yeah.
well
Yeah.
because he just reappears, just flirts with her, so whatever he does, and then vanishes again. It's really creepy, like the whole thing.
It's super creepy.
With the age, maybe if they were closer, even then it would still be weird though, because I'd be like, where were you for the past 5+ episodes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No,
He's specifically like opportunity driven. He is not doing this for any type of like I'm actually committed to wanting to pursue you. And even if he was, obviously we'd still have a problem with it, right? But if he was trying to pursue her, it would seem better because this is just
yeah.
every time they meet, they end up just kissing or hooking up or whatever.
I think that's what
And
it
it
is. He
means
happens
nothing.
to see her in the vicinity and then is attracted and is all over her. But yeah, it's opportunity driven. I think that's why it's so weird.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we pretend like he's a good guy because he doesn't take advantage of her when she's drunk. You're not a good guy, first of all. Don't pretend you're the nice guy just because you're a predator that didn't take advantage of the situation at hand. But he lets her sleep on the couch because she's not good. Is that what they said? Sloshed? I don't even pissed, whatever
She's
it was.
pissed. Yeah.
And yeah, so she sleeps on the couch and he ends up going to to work and she's late for school, and then they kiss on the way out. Like, it's like kind of like, I'll talk to you later, but they never do. It's just
See,
weird.
okay, I'm glad you said that because in my head, I'm like, okay, we've now established his apartment. She says, I'm not happy with what's going on at home, so I might take you up on crashing on your couch. So to me, this was setting us up that Spencer will be staying at his house and crashing on the couch more. And
Yeah.
are you saying this is a
No, I
no-no?
feel it's a throwaway. I honestly do.
Wow.
That's such
mean,
a point
you know
because
what I
it's the way
think?
she gives him a goodbye kiss too on the way out,
Yes,
as if like, you know, like they're a couple and she's going to see him again next week and she's going to
exactly.
keep coming back to the apartment.
But she doesn't. I mean, she might eventually, but not next week at least. You know, she's not staying there. They're not having a relationship. It's just this throwaway scene to add drama. I don't even really know why we have to add Ren into it. I really don't. I would be so happy if he just bye-byed. I really just don't like
Okay.
him
It's
at all.
also the fact that it would make sense if she turned up more regularly because of everything going on at home and she'd be looking for a safe haven or a refuge and they don't use that in the moment. Like you would think it would be a continuation,
Wow.
but she's,
Yep.
you know, very regularly coming there. That's what I assume every time I watch that episode.
Yeah. Agreed. And then we'll see it as at least as the rest of the season pans out. We're not seeing her go to his apartment on the reg. We're not.
Like regular sleepovers, that's what I mean.
Right.
That's what
Yeah.
I was expecting. So
Exactly. Right. So the next day, Spencer is rewatching the video again in the house alone. I guess her parents aren't there, and then Melissa comes in. I guess she doesn't catch Spencer watching the video, but she's like, "I know I have to explain, but I can't tell you right now because mom and dad are gonna come home. But I had something I wanted to tell you at Ian's funeral, and I still want to tell you that." And then we see them, leave. And then Mike says they purposely show her phone and computer left behind. Like, do you think that that means anything?
Yeah, I think
Spencer's, I
that,
should say.
yeah, I took that as either she's going to be in a situation with Melissa where she's going to want to like ring up something on her phone or she's going to
Mm.
want to call someone for help and she doesn't have her phone now. So
Mm-hmm.
she's going to be stuck somewhere.
Yeah. What do you think? I know you kind of marinated a little bit, and you think Melissa has to do with an Allison situation or maybe the blackmail money, but what do you think Melissa's going to tell her?
I think she's going to tell her I knew.
Okay. Just
That's
that she knew about Jason.
yeah, or Ali was like threatening me that she had information on our family and the only way she would keep her mouth shut is if I paid her. And so I took money from dad's account. I saw dad had funds saved and I tapped into them because I was working at this law firm.
Hmm. That's very nice, Michelle. That's very nice.
We'll see if it comes to fruition.
Yeah, I think that was a great thought process. So
Thank you. Thank
we'll
you.
see.
Yeah.
All right, over to Hannah. We see now that Mona is receiving a text in this episode again, but we had seen her previously before received an a text about Hannah's liposuction. Remember back in season 1, she had gotten some text then. And so she toys back and forth on whether or not to say something to Hannah, but she finally comes clean to her. And then we have a scene with Wilden who comes unannounced to the Marin residence. And Ashley's like, if you need to talk to me, you have to talk to me down at the station. So he's like, okay, I'll see you there because I still have things I want to talk to you about as far as Allie's murder investigation goes. So Hannah and Mona are shopping, and Mona reveals about the text messages and includes this photo of Ashley and Wilden. And she's like, I don't know what to do with this. A wants me to use it. And so Hannah's like, it's Photoshop. Obviously, like, my mom would never do this. So she's shooken up and she tells Ashley, nothing came of it, but what would have happened if something did? And Ashley says, I could lose full custody of you. Like, your dad could fight for custody if this ever were to get out. So now Hannah has to think about the situation again, even though she thought it was behind her, but it's really not. So she tells the girls about what her mom did for her. And like you said, Serena, like, they don't judge her for this,
no.
but as they shouldn't, right? Because Ashley was doing what she could for her daughter. And she ends up telling Mona, like, A is a real threat. You know, this is no joke. And they're going to do what they say they're going to do. And so Mona's has to be make the decision of whether or not to tell the police that she stole or she tells the police that Hannah stole and also that her mom was hooking up with Wilden. So Hannah's determined to get some answers in this episode, and so they go to the house, which is the location. Oh, it's not a house. I'm sorry. They go to the law firm, which was the location that Jonah had given them. And it seems to be a dead end because there's nobody there. There's some mail. The girls end up taking a piece of mail, and then some homeless man scares them, and Arya falls back and she hurts her leg. And so Hannah thinks
It's
that
funny.
this is. Oh, it
Sorry.
was funny. It was
That's really
funny. She didn't seem to get like badly hurt. She was.
It was the way
fine.
she fell. It was the
Yeah.
way she fell.
Yeah.
It was funny.
And she's so small that she just kind of went like, whoa, like right off the porch. Yeah, the girls were like trying to get her up. It was funny.
It was
When
funny.
people fall, honestly, it
It's
does
so
make me laugh.
funny. It's very funny. It's a bit
I know. You're supposed to be like, oh my God, are you okay? And like, I immediately always laugh. I also
Oh.
just like laugh in serious situations like that
Oh,
too.
me too. Make
The
us feel
same.
more comfortable, right?
Yep. So Hannah ends up telling Mona about A and that Hannah and her friends have gotten messages from A and the threats are real and they will do things to harm you. So I know you have to make this decision. And then one of our listeners, Kat, had asked, was it the right decision for Hannah to tell Mona about A?
Okay, so I know Mona received that text about the liposuction, right? But
Right, that was like season 1.
yeah. However, after this episode, I feel like Mona is sending those text messages to get in with the girls
Mona sending in the text messages.
from A. Mona
Oh,
is
you
setting
mean okay.
Mona is setting this all up to act like A is threatening her.
Okay, gotcha.
But
I was confused.
it's actually her so she can get in with the girls.
Okay.
The pity card, you mean?
Yes.
Right. Like
Yes.
you guys have this bond. I'm
I
gonna
want
join the
in.
group.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because I still think A is multiple people. I
Mm.
still think her and Lucas joined forces back in the day against Ali.
Mhm. Mhm.
And this is just like, and
Well,
Mona,
I mean, that's what it seems like.
right. And Mona knows all, seems to have herself in a lot of, like, you know, she helped Emily with getting back on the swim team. She just has some power.
She's techie.
Yeah, she's very savvy. And so, yeah, I just, I think she did a little manipulating and kind of faked all of this.
Mm. So she wants the sympathy card.
Yep.
And now she's basically in with the group because the next day Hannah says, I know you had to make a decision and I understand what your decision was. And Mona says, no, I turned myself in and now I have to do community service, but like I would never do that to my best friend or her mother. And then we see she ends up getting this Apple note that
Yeah.
basically A is saying, like, you know what, actually I'm not done with you yet. Like you didn't do what I obviously expected you to do, as that was to
Right.
out Hannah and her mother.
Yeah.
And so as like a bond, a trauma bond, she goes and sits to have lunch with the girls. So they're like, oh yeah, Mona understands now.
Yeah, it was
I
that
could see what you're saying.
it was that apple scene where I was like, oh, Mona actually planted this on her apple.
So it wasn't
That's-
even before that until the
Oh,
apple.
it was
no.
cool.
Oh.
It was like I felt that way. It like solidified my thought when she looked at the apple. And on the apple, there's like
Okay.
that post-it that said whatever it said.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Mona, you planted that. Or maybe she was being threatened and then she like just sealed it, got her spot in with that post-it. And then the girls
Right,
are
like
like, you can sit with
maybe
me. And
there
she's
was
like,
a threat
"No."
and she decided to continue it because
Yeah.
she felt included in the group.
Let's run with this.
Yeah, I love that. All right,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And then later, our last scene with Hannah and Ashley is that Ashley wants to know why. Oh wait, I totally skipped over it because I'm not following my notes. I'm just going off the cuff of my head. But Mona had brought the file from the police station home, so Ashley sees that. And so she goes to Wilden and she's like, why are you blackmailing my daughter? And he's like, why would I want this out? I definitely don't want anyone to know, what I did for her, what we did, none of that. So she questions Hannah having the file and then says to her, why do you have this piece of mail? it's so weird. This law firm is the one that helped me and Tom get divorced because Melissa interned there during the summer that we got divorced. So now Hannah's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, FWL Law Firm, whatever
Mm.
that stands for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mike wants to know, do you think Ashley and Ella now will have a conversation? Because now it's another thing that Ashley has got brought to her attention.
Yeah.
And now with Ella and the Byron letter,
I
now these moms have more evidence.
I would love that. I love when the moms get together. I don't know if you feel the same way, Serena, but whenever we have the moms hanging out and talking, I'm like, yes, moms.
I
I
love
always
it.
wish we see more of it, like in general in the show, because I feel like it also makes the most sense considering all the stuff that's going on with their children.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not like their kids don't know each other. They know how close their girls are. So it always weirded me out that we didn't have more scenes with the parents just saying what's going on with Hannah, what's going on with Arya. And I love their scenes as well. They're so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Like they seemed, I don't know if they're like best friends, these parents, but because of their daughters, they are close and they
Mm-hmm.
have, commonality of things that are going on in their kids' lives. I mean, all of their kids were arrested at the same time. They all did community service at the same time. They all seem to be getting this threat from like the fashion show with the
I'm
Allison
shocked and
stuff.
should be doing weekly check-ins, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they don't, you know?
No, I know. It's frustrating, but it that's the show, right? Like that's the teen dramas that we have at least talked about. That's the majority of, the kids go through a lot. The parents are there sometimes or not at all, and they never go to therapy and they just deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, the same thing in this show.
Mm.
All right, over to Emily. How do you feel about Emily, Serena? I know how you feel about 2 years ago with your videos, but how do you feel currently about Emily?
Yeah, I guess a lot can change in a year or two.
Yeah.
I watching this episode now, I'm actually so glad I'm doing this with you guys because it was so refreshing to rewatch that episode and be like, oh yeah, but she's so cute. I forgot how cute she was, but like she's such a little cinnamon roll. Like she really
I
means no harm.
know.
She means no harm. She's so nice.
She is.
Like she's the softest out of all the girls, I think, at this point in the show in terms of seeming really sweet and, not she's just not very aggressive. I just really like her character basically. I forgot how nice she is, but the whole Paige thing, I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But I can't stand that. But I think she's got a good heart. She's lovely. She's lovely. She was just given terrible storylines, you know?
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Yeah, out of all of the liars, as the show goes on, I feel like Emily's storyline unfortunately does not go in a nice way or something that the audience would want to see
Mm.
for her because she is so nice and deserving of so much. And I feel like the writers definitely put her on the back burner. So
It's funny you say that because I also noticed how sweet she was in this episode. We'll get to Arya, but when Arya was sharing, like she comes and tells the girls about her and Ezra, Emily's first reaction was to grab her arm and be like, "It's okay."
it's
And
okay.
Spencer's like, "No, it's not," which I understand because her and Spencer shared a moment, and it was like you should have won an Oscar for that award, which
Yeah.
sharing the sorrows of losing their loves. But Emily was just so sweet in that moment to grab her friend's arm and comfort her.
Yeah, she definitely doesn't hold grudges. She's the most even keeled, like accepting friend because I'm sure, in her life she has dealt with a lot of people having to accept who she is, and she's finally accept who she is as a person.
Right.
And I think she's just like, yeah, whatever anyone does, it's fine. They're still my friend. I still love them.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And then there's Maya, the Maya of it all, where she's called Emily has called her multiple times and she does not answer. And so Emily in this whole episode does not know if they're broken up, if they're together, if they're ever going to see each other again. Like nothing is made of it. And as I told you last week, that Lindsay Shaw, aka Paige, is back in our presence. Now I can understand the tone of what you were saying, Serena. I think the tone is similar, at least on this end of the screen. Michelle really wanted Paige to come back over Maya. So I felt like that was a
I'm
really
sorry if you guys like Paige, by the way. Like I don't yeah, I just really hate her. But like if you guys like her, it's completely fine.
I just was not a fan of Maya and what they were doing with her storyline with
Neither was
Emily.
I. Neither was I, honestly.
And so I just kept saying for the past couple of weeks, like, let's just bring Paige back. Like, I'd rather have Paige than this Maya situation.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand. That's fair enough. Like, because I was never a big fan of Maya either, because I felt like they really did her dirty with a lot of storylines. Even in this episode, I was going to say earlier,
Yeah.
Emily's literally, I mean, I know there's probably an explanation. I don't even remember now, but Emily's literally been ghosted, you know, like
Yep.
this is someone that she likes, and she's not even, like, Maya's not even giving her the courtesy of just a quick text to explain what's going on, just leaving her hanging. And I
Yeah.
hate that. So I feel
Yeah.
really bad.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. Yeah. And Emily is just like I said, she's in limbo this episode, and so she's not really herself, and she's really like upset. And we have Paige who comes in and she's like, "Hey, why don't you like hang? We can hang out. We can go get some donations for the swim team." Even though, again, as I said last week, Michelle, the swim season's over, so why are we getting donations? But
Mm-hmm.
okay. So Emily like finally agrees after like Paige basically begs her, and so we have this scene where Paige tells Emily that she came out to her parents, and so Emily's really proud and thankful. And Paige says, "I have you to thank for it because you made it so graceful."
That was
And
cute. I like that.
it
That was very
definitely
sweet.
Very
was, yeah.
sweet.
And I think she really, really admires Emily and like almost strives to be like her. And she's slowly trying to get there, but she's also, unlike Emily, a very intense person. And so Paige, we when it comes up, the Maya stuff comes up, and Emily, poor girl, she gets like shaken up because she thinks she sees Maya at the grill, and then those girls were so mean the way they looked at her, like she
They
was
were
a
just like,
crazy person. They're like,
Yeah, what was that, by the way, that actually made me laugh?
me
I was like,
too. I was like,
girls,
is your
so
face
weird.
stuck like that?
She was just like, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were someone else. No big deal." And they're like,
I
"What?
know.
What was the face? Like, I don't."
Wouldn't you have just laughed it off? I've been like, haha, no, okay, it's
They'll be like,
fine,
oh,
whatever.
I'm sorry. You know, I probably would have apologized
That
because
was
You
so
did.
awkward. Why do they make it so awkward? Like,
Yeah, they
so
made it so
weird.
awkward and it just like added the fuel to Emily being upset. So she's like, "Oh god, I just embarrassed myself further because I'm so desperate to see Maya or talk to Maya." And then Paige and her bump into each other, of course, coincidentally. They bump into each other. And Emily tells Paige that she doesn't know where her and Maya stand. She's in distress, and Paige says, "Don't you see, Em? That's who she is. When things get tough, she bails." I'm like, "I'm sorry, how do you know Maya? You
I
don't
nearly
know Maya."
threw up. I actually nearly threw up when she said that. I was like, no, honestly, I felt nauseous. Like, because it's, I'm sorry, that is so manipulative. Imagine if it was a guy saying that, like if the genders were swapped and it was a guy being like, using it as an opportunity to kind of make himself look better than all the exes and all the other love interests. It's
Exactly.
manipulative. Like, it is.
So
I've
manipulative. And I'm
I
like,
I have been in this situation. This
Have you?
exact situation where a guy friend of mine was consoling me and comforting me when I was going through a breakup, said very similar lines, and then went in to kiss me. And I had to be like, no, 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 what are you doing? And he was like,
literally, what are you
I'm
doing?
sorry, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. And I was so like watching this like brought me right back to that moment.
Wow, you had a verbatim scene in your real
Yes.
life of
Yes,
this.
I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah. And Paige is just like, I don't know what I was thinking. I'm
Like I
like,
didn't mean it. Yeah.
right, but you did clearly. Like you, as Serena said, you manipulated what you were saying so that you look better, and Maya doesn't. And like, to be fair, I don't think you really knew Maya at all.
She met Maya?
I
Sorry,
don't.
like she actually met her. Like, I don't
The,
wait,
I
what?
don't think so. I mean, we know, right, because now she's not even in school with them. So how did she know? I mean, we see Maya in school with them the first season for like 2 or 3 episodes. That's it. And Paige really wasn't there.
Wait, wait, wait. I have a question.
Yeah.
Remember when Paige and Emily met up for dinner last
Yeah.
season?
Hmm.
Did they talk about Maya? No. They were talking about
Mm,
like maybe them becoming into a relationship, and Paige was like, I'm not ready for that.
yeah, I don't know if Emily actually told her like the name of who she was falling for, or like who
Okay.
she kind of like the coming out situation of who was there at the time for her.
Got it.
But
Because how would
Paige,
she know Maya? You know,
right,
you
right.
guys
And
are
then
right.
that
Yeah.
whole the Paige situation leads to Samara. So like there
Oh,
really wasn't a
Samara.
Maya situation. I know, again, like it's Samara. Samara thing is uninteresting. The Maya stuff seems interesting, doesn't go anywhere. And then now we have Paige, who we bring in immediately after you get rid of the other love interest. Like, this doesn't sit well with me.
It's very strange.
And it's Paige, no less. Like, and the fandom, and we've talked about this before, and like now Paige will be here, and people just do not like this character. They don't like her, and like they multiple times have said, "Oh, it's because she tried to drown her." It's like it has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that for me, at least. And I hope that I feel differently as we watch the rest of Paige. But like she's already too
keep
intense.
the bar low, I think, with that one. At least in my opinion,
it's
it
too
depends.
much already.
Yeah, it's too much. I think it depends.
Just got her.
Some people prefer her, some people don't like her. It really depends how you look at it. I could never get behind it. No matter what she did, what her storylines were, I can't. I find her insufferable. Like, I know that sounds really mean, but she's up there for me in some of the worst characters in the show, in my top tier, genuinely. And like, there's other characters up there too, of course, but it's everything. Like, it's just, I feel like she ruins every scene she's in. Like, I know it sounds so mean, but I'm not even trying to like be judgy. With Ezra,
honestly,
for me,
you're not
Ezra,
alone. You're not alone there.
Oh,
Ezra's up there for me as well.
He's up in that court.
Yeah.
Kat
She's
had asked
annoying.
Michelle.
She drags down Emily's scenes. Do you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. Yeah, she does. And so to follow up with that, Kat had asked, what do you think of the progression of Paige, Michelle specifically, to being a closeted teen with bad bangs, to out to her parents with way better hair, making moves on Emily the moment Maya isn't around? So, like, what was your, again, this your new impression of Paige?
Well, I was glad that Paige told Emily that she came out to her parents. Like, she shared that story with her, which I really liked that scene. While Paige manipulated and, I don't know, kind of took advantage of Emily's situation outside of the grill picking up food, I don't actually blame Paige, because I think Paige is still figuring out herself and her feelings and how to navigate. And Emily and her have shared this previously about how they were both had feelings for each other. So it just goes back to trying to relate to the person that you felt feelings for previously.
Yeah.
So we'll see how Paige continues. I was happy to see Paige only because Maya wasn't here, but now I have feelings on that too. This episode brought a lot out in me, I have to say. It really did.
Yeah. Well, and then we have our last scene with Emily. She gets a knock on the door and she opens it to find that Officer Barry is there asking her, Maya's whereabouts. So what could you possibly think is going to happen there?
I think Maya's dead. I think they killed her. I truly think they killed her. I don't know who killed her, but I think Maya's dead.
And that's morbid. I love it.
I know, but I think they did Maya dirty. I think Maya's dead, and I don't want her to be dead. But honestly, that was my first gut reaction. So I'm just going to go with that.
I did tease to you that they do kill people on the show, but...
Well, I know they kill people, but...
Yeah.
And like last season, we killed Ian. So maybe this season we're killing Maya, but I don't know. I'm always thinking, like, who else are we killing? Like, every season, are we going to kill somebody?
I'm so glad they killed Ian, just as a side note. Remove him. Like, he served his purpose, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know, and then he, like, still comes back in flashbacks. You're like, ugh.
Ian. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're still here.
Agreed. Yeah. He was definitely a character that didn't need to stick around. And
But they handled that really right,
on that for me.
They handled that right, though. I feel like once they knew his arc was kind of over, they removed him.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should do that with more people.
Yeah.
All right. So lastly, we have to talk about Arya. Ella shows up to Arya with the letter that Byron received about Ezra, or, just Arya's whereabouts, and said last year when, excuse me, she said last time, because I'm not going to say last year because it wasn't last year, it was months ago. Quote, that when she received the letter about Byron's affair, they thought it was Meredith who sent the letter. But now they're not so sure because this letter was also signed by A. And so she assures Arya that her and Byron will be looking into this situation. So then Ezra and Arya finally meet up, and it's post his interview, and he ends up telling her that they offered him the job. And now he has to make a decision. She's like, well, it's obvious. Like, obviously, you're not going to take it. And he's like, is it? It's a really good opportunity. And I really just don't understand how we can still try to make this work. Like, it's
With
just
what
not working.
qualifications? By the way, with what qualifications? Like, I don't know if you were going to mention this. Were you going to say that? Sorry if I said that for, but like, you know how he said I got the job? I was like, how? Isn't it his first year of teaching?
Yeah. Our listener, Kate, who is a professor, is like, this is the most unrealistic plot that they've ever done. Ezra would never be considered for this job.
Okay, I'm glad someone mentioned it because I was
Yeah.
just about to say, like, I have to say this. Like, he's the most unqualified young, like, how?
Yep.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah, so he thinks it's a great opportunity because it is a great opportunity and they need to discuss it further. And then we have just this like it seems as though like this end all scene, right? This like we're breaking up and she's devastated and she's got these big ball tears in her eyes and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I'll call you later," which I didn't remember him saying that he's going to call her later because then when we get this stark difference of them sitting at the fucking table eating dinner, I'm like, did you not break up? I'm so sorry. What
I'm
happened?"
so glad you said that. I wrote that in my notes. I
Same.
thought this was so weird. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was so weird,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we do have a scene in between where she's beyond devastated. She's crying in her bed. Ella comes in wanting to know what happened. And she's like, he took the job that dad got for him. You know about it. Like, don't act like you don't. And Ella's like, I really don't. And so
Yeah.
Arya's like, you're going to lose me too. So Arya and Ezra end up having dinner together. And she's like, it feels like you're almost gone already. And I'm like, what?
I was
The
so
difference.
lost. I don't know if I was just a bit tired yesterday
No,
or
it's
every
like they
time.
missed a scene, right? There's a
Every
scene missing.
time, it's like you're so right. It's the most dramatic sobbing. He like drives off rather than hugging her. He just drives off, leaves her. And I always think it's him ending it because it's so mean. And then it's like, yeah, we're eating dinner, and she's kind of a bit sad. But I didn't realize that like he was just more giving her a warning that he'd be leaving. It sounded like a breakup, but then they're having dinner. I'm so lost, honestly.
Right.
It was
We
weird.
we have Can't Help Falling in Love by Ingrid Michaelson, right, in the
Yep.
background.
Yep.
It's a beautiful cover of the song and it's heartbreaking. And we make it seem like this is like the Azaria scene that they're broken up, right? This is the
It's done.
breakup scene,
It's done, kind of thing. Like this
and
is
then they're not done.
yeah.
So what was the point of that whole thing?
Right.
No point. But then they get a knock at the door as well, and there is Ella standing there, and they're like, "What's happening?" And she says that she's obviously fearful that she's going to lose her daughter, so she's there to listen. She's there to hear them out, and they're confused, but they seem to be hopeful. All of our listeners want to know, Michelle, what do you make of this situation? What do you think is going to happen for the future of Azaria, as we call them? We know they're called Ezria, but we call them Azaria because it sounds nicer.
Yeah. I actually really did enjoy Ella going and
Mhm.
kind of wanting to just listen. And the fact that she said, I'm here to listen. Um, I still think Ezra's going to go because the whole back and forth of him and Arya, like they can't even seem to meet up. She canceled last week. She was preoccupied with Holden.
Mhm.
So, and I think maybe Ella will just listen and be a sounding board, but I think Ezra ultimately is going to decide to go.
Right.
But I
Okay.
actually did like Ella going and going very neutral territory of just, I'm not here to yell at you. I'm not
Just
here to
want to
preach to
listen.
you. I just want to listen. Let's
Yeah.
hear how you guys feel about each other.
Finally, because we
Yeah.
need a parent that's just going to listen because like I said, you're going to lose me if
Right.
you don't.
Right.
Not that she's condoning the relationship, but she just wants to make sure that at least her daughter is like of sound mind. Like what is happening here?
Right. I can also see Ezra taking this job, Ella not on board with the relationship, but she will accept it. We end, maybe we're going to get to summer, and then Arya travels to go spend the summer with Ezra. And then when we come back in season 3, we open up and it's like, how's the relationship? Oh, it's good. Long distance is hard. And then they'll end up splitting.
Okay.
forward thinking.
And then like Ezra's on the island after that?
No, I don't think Ezra's on the
Oh.
island. I think Ezra still stays there, but somehow Ezra does make his way back to Rosewood.
Okay. Great predictions. Vic had asked us, would we rather have watched Spencer and Ren or Ezra and Arya? I guess Ezra and Arya if I had to choose in this
Ezra and
episode.
Arya. Yeah.
Really? Why? That's so interesting.
Yeah, I think because Ella was a part of it, and
Yeah.
I think because it looked like they were breaking up. So I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think adding Ella made it a lot more interesting.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that sort of dimension of her being like, I don't condone this relationship, like at all. But also,
Right.
I don't want like Arya to be running away if I'm just like judging her and shutting her out. So let's kind of talk. I think that's much more interesting.
I agree.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and more this just makes more sense to me right now.
Yeah.
The Ren and Spencer stuff I just was very enraged by, as we all were. So
Yeah. I think we all were.
yeah.
Although I did think it was really funny, to be honest, how Ella was saying, I'm just gonna listen and just like see what's going on here. Like, listen to what? Like, I just remove her. Like, Arya needs some sort of detox from Ezra Center. Like I just think it's really funny. Like, I think it's lovely that Ella listens, but also like I think what Arya needs is just some space from Ezra to just be a teenager and just remove her. I think that'll be the best thing, for her.
Absolutely. We say that all the time. Like we want her to date someone else, even if it doesn't last. Like let's just have some space between them and not tension that her and Ezra can't be together. I don't want that kind of tension.
Yeah, someone her own age at her
Right.
developmental phase right now. Go and play bingo and
Yeah,
do kid things. You have one childhood. You should not be dating your ex-teacher and worried about him going across the country and
so stressful. Like she just has exams to do. She doesn't need this stress in her life right now.
Right.
It's so adult. She has plenty of time for that later.
That's right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And then we just have the last scene of supposedly I guess, maybe with Peter's gun, who knows, firing some target
practice.
Got great aim.
Well, of course. Yeah.
That's my summary. So
end part boring.
Yeah, it is boring because
you're
boring? Not giving
but
us
normally
anything.
they're interesting. That one I was like, I don't really care about the whole gun thing because sometimes they're really cool clues. You're like, oh, I found that one boring. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh no, I was absolutely boring. And Michelle does get frustrated with these ending scenes of A because, as I told her, like sometimes they really mean something and sometimes they mean absolutely nothing. And so this one doesn't really mean much at all. Like they're just target practice.
Does it
they
not?
have a gun.
I couldn't remember if it was relevant or not. So I was like, is this important? And am I missing something? Not really.
I mean, it could be anyone, right? Honestly.
That's how I feel every week. Is this important or not? Should I store this or not?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Let's have some ice cream. First of all, Serena, I wanted to know if you were an ice cream flavor, what flavor would you be? I'm just curious.
This is such a good question. I think I'd be like hazelnut.
Wait, I've never even heard anyone give that suggestion.
Yeah, we haven't had that one. Yeah.
Because it's kind of Christmassy,
Oh, are you Christmassy?
Yeah, it's sort of festive. I just like it.
Yeah. I love that. Are you a cone person or a cup?
A cup, actually. I've gone off cones lately, weirdly. I know.
I think it depends on my mood. Like if it's soft serve ice cream, then I obviously want it in a cone.
Yeah.
But if it's hard ice cream, it's nice to have it in a cup. Maybe
I agree. I'm
sprinkle
the same.
action.
That's right.
Yeah. Something.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to talk about Lucky Leon's Ladle. This ice cream flavor is submitted by our listener and patron, Michael. He's pairing this episode with, wait till you hear this, Elena's The Fan Heartbreak Ice Cream. And this ice cream is mango, red berry, chocolate, matcha, and vanilla. All 5 layers to deal with 5 emotions of heartbreak. I had to look this up because I was like, what is this? And apparently when Mexico lost the 2021 Gold Cup against the US, this brand, Elena's, concocted this ice cream to deal with the 5 stages of grief, which I think is kind of fitting a la Taylor Swift this week. But it's just funny that like they created this ice cream to deal with the 5 stages of grief. So we have the top layer, vanilla, and he says this is to help with denial by calming you and releasing tension. Spencer in this episode is in denial that Melissa had a hand in Allie's death, and it turns to some shots and a British man to release some tension. Next is matcha. This is for anger. Matcha releases serotonin and dopamine to relax your brain. Hannah is filled with anger towards A in this episode after she finds out A is also targeting Mona and forcing Mona to expose what Ashley did to prevent Hannah from getting arrested. The next layer is dark chocolate to help with sadness. Arya is in tears after Ezra basically told her he's giving up on them. I think dark chocolate would just make her feel a lot happier than having tea with her mom and Ezra, but that's just me. The second to last layer is red berries for acceptance. While not traditionally part of the liars, Mona accepted her threat from A and decided to admit to stealing and accept the punishment her parents gave. The targeting of A also allowed for the liars to accept her into the group. Finally, we end off with the bottom layer of mango, which is for hope to increase your energy and positivity. Emily is still holding on to hope that Maya hasn't run away or broken up with her. However, that scene at the end with police showing up at Emily's door doesn't shatter her hopelessness. I give this episode 3 scoops out of 5. Might have been 3.5 if Paige wasn't there to bring it down.
Wow, wow,
That's the
wow.
brutal end part.
Right?
I love
And
it.
he messaged me. He's like, I'm so sorry this one's long this week, but I got to do it. I'm like, it's
Aw,
fine.
that's great.
Yeah.
Good job,
But
Mike.
what a weird combination of ice cream. I would be interested to try like all of them at once to
Right,
see what
right.
it tasted like.
Yeah.
It has to be pretty good. I mean, they wouldn't have done it if it tasted bad, you know?
Right, right.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go into MVP and shittiest. I did not particularly like anyone in this episode, but I'll say my MVP is Mona for doing the unselfish task. And I also gave a blue ribbon to Ella and Ashley just because I felt they were good parents. Serena, who did you like the most, or who did you think got like an award for being the MVP in this week's episode?
Well, I was going to say one of the girls, but they were all collectively annoying me when they ganged up on Spencer. So I just needed a moment, I think, to collect myself. But I would say my favorite was actually Ashley because she is such a good mother. Like even if Hannah's in the wrong, she'll just stand by her like as a parent. And I feel like that's just really cool that she protects her and hears her out. And I just love her, like the way she stands up for her when Wilden's there and he's just being really inappropriate. And she's awesome, you know?
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Michelle?
My MVP was Ella.
Nice, look at that.
I like that she
Parents.
listened to her daughter and she showed up to listen. And she doesn't take milk in her tea. Noted, Ella.
Do you take milk in your tea, Serena? Do you drink tea?
Well, if it's like Earl Grey or like black tea, I need milk in it. Like I can't just have it without, you
Mhm.
know, maybe it's because I'm British. I don't know, but
Yeah.
not much, just like a tiny bit. Like it's too strong for me otherwise.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about coffee? Do you drink coffee?
I love a good latte.
Mm.
I'm a bit obsessed at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to not have more than like 1 or 2 a day, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Delicious.
You
We
guys
love
like coffee? You like
Love,
coffee? Okay.
love,
Do
love coffee.
But also I really only have like 1 cup in the morning and that's it. And then yeah.
That's very healthy.
Trying.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't had to have that like 3 o'clock
No, I
coffee
don't
in
anymore.
a while.
Mm-mm. No.
Yeah.
No.
What about a shittiest? Honestly, all of the love interests in this episode were shitty for me. Ren,
Oh.
Paige. But then I feel like I almost have to give props to Ezra for breaking off the situation, but then again he didn't. So like that was ultimately shitty to me too. So what about you, Serena? Who did you think was the worst of the episode?
See, I was going to give Ezra props for kind of at least trying to end things with Arya or saying, look, I don't see a world in which this relationship is possible. But then when you look at their relationship as a whole, he kind of does this and it almost seems like he's treating it as a joke to make her more emotionally attached by like, you know, dangling, oh, look, I could leave you just to make her upset and panic. It almost seems a bit manipulative because he does it so often. So I don't even want to say, because it's the thing he does. So I would say maybe, I don't know. He was really bad. They were all really bad. You know what I mean? I can't. I'd say Paige. I'd say Paige just because I was really relieved that she wasn't there, and we had Melissa and Ren annoying me. So I was like, it's fine. You know, at least Paige isn't here. And then Paige arrived, and I was like, okay, it's too much. Because it's too much. Because and Melissa was annoying me a bit. Ezra was not, and then you add Paige in the mix. It's
I
just too much.
know. We didn't really, no one was really having a great episode, so it was hard to
No,
pick.
no, and
It's
also
hard to
Ren
pick.
was really bothering me. So I feel like Paige was just the nail in the coffin because Ren was
Mhm.
really getting on my nerves. So,
Yeah.
but he was for you guys too,
Yeah,
right?
Ren was king shit this episode for me. So
Yeah, okay.
Love
he
it.
gets the shit hat. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
not into it whatsoever. But I love what you said about Ezra because I haven't really thought about it like that, but he does have this pattern of, in a way, also manipulating Arya to give her that intense emotion of I'm going to end this and then I don't and then I'm going to do it again and I don't, and like it's rarely ever Arya the one saying like no we need to end it. It's always Ezra. And
It's
then
done
again,
from
he's
day
the
one.
adult, right? He's the
He
adult,
is
like
the
he should
adult.
be the one who's ending it, but he keeps giving her the false sense of hope, like we're gonna get back together. So
Mm-hmm.
I remember he did
yeah.
that right at the beginning of the show when he said, "Look, I think she said, I don't want to be in your class." And then he did something quite a big thing, like, I really don't think this should work. And he acts like he's doing the right thing and doing distance. And so you sort of admire him for a second, like, oh, that's good of him. And then
Yep.
you realize he's never actually serious. So,
Right. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's right. He's always just putting up the facade of I am the good guy trying to do the right thing, and he just doesn't follow through.
yeah, but is he ever actually
Majority.
serious? Does he ever
Right.
actually
Mean
Right.
do it?
it.
Right.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
think he does mean it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. I would say this episode was was good, and I liked it a lot. And the one thing that really cringed me out and bothered me was the Ren and the Spencer. So I feel like if I had to rate it 1 of 10 of like how cringy it was, this kind of made it like up there for me because I was really squirming under in my seat and trying to hide under the covers because I did not want to watch it. So I'm gonna give it like an 8.
Oh
I don't know.
wow.
What would you guys give it on a 1 to 10 of like how cringy or how corny this episode was?
Interesting. I wrote down a 6,
Okay.
which is still
Maybe I'm going
high.
too
It's
high.
still high. No, not at all. You don't have to explain how you feel about a cringe moment. But yeah, for me, it was definitely, oh yeah, that scene definitely cringed me out. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was an 8. It was an 8 for me as well.
Wow.
When Paige
Okay.
said you need someone you can depend on, I was
Yes.
like, I'm
Yes.
out. I'm sorry. I'm done. Like, it was just too much. And also with Ella saying again, I want to sit and listen. And I just the whole thing. I was like, listen to what? Like,
Right.
listen to Ezra try and justify himself? Like, I don't understand.
Right. What are they going to explain to her?
We also
We're
didn't
in
hear.
love.
Do we pick up? Do we pick up with this
Mm,
conversation? Because we don't even
no, we
actually
don't
see
hear.
what's said.
No, we don't hear the
Yeah.
conversation. But I can imagine like they are probably reiterated, we met before school, we promised that we weren't trying to have this legal relationship, it just ended up that way. And we haven't had relations though, so there's a plus there.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yeah, I can't imagine walking into Ezra's apartment and thinking of what I thought uh, about my kid, and like seeing his bed there, like Byron saw his bed there. Like it would really make me uncomfortable.
But at least Ella did it.
But she did it. She did the uncomfortable thing.
I just wish we could have seen that conversation, but
Yeah, same.
yeah.
We don't.
oh, did we not see the conversation?
No.
Oh, no,
I
we
think
didn't. Oh,
no, next week I feel like they just her and Ezra talk about like my mom's thawing out still or whatever. Okay. Like I don't think there was
Wow.
any hope. I
That
don't
would
really
have been a
remember.
great thing to see. This is like a missed opportunity.
Yeah,
Let's
I
make it
agree.
interesting, right? Let's see
Right.
it.
Like let's see why you guys are pleading to her parents as to why you should be together.
how can
Because
you
the
build
audience
up
doesn't
to
feel that.
that and
Right.
not show the scene? That's
Right.
a great idea to show that scene. Why not?
Right. Right.
Yep. Agreed. But in my memory, there is no scene.
Maybe it's because they realized there was no way they could explain that or have it look, understandable for Ella. Like, because if I'm imagining now, if they sat there explaining it, it just wouldn't look good. I can't imagine Ella being like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Right.
Doesn't make
That's
sense.
true. That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the writers being like, let's just ignore it.
I think so, because I don't think they would know themselves how to make it sound okay. Because even if they explain, we met before, I didn't really know how old I was. It just doesn't land.
It doesn't land.
It doesn't. Exactly. And that's probably why they didn't do it.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right, Michelle. So it's the end of the episode. I'm going to give you the title for next week, which is episode 22, titled Father Knows Best.
Okay.
And my secret is that we will meet another one of Vivian's acquaintances.
Oh, interesting.
She's got multiple.
Of course she does.
Friends in all the places.
Okay, so Father Knows Best. Like, my first reaction was to think that Byron is somehow going to get involved in this, but I actually don't think he will. So I think this has to do with Peter. And so somehow we're going to bring Peter back into this. I hope, and I don't know if you'll confirm this for me, but do Spencer and Melissa, do we see their conversation?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. So I am hoping that Melissa says, oh, I did know, and I actually am the one who gave the money to Allison. But yet we're meeting Vivian, another relation to Vivian. Okay, well, yeah, I just think this is going to involve more about Melissa, Spencer, and Peter, and we're going to tie Peter into this.
Okay, I will give you a little tease. There is a father-daughter dance next week.
Oh, okay. All right. I still think that's going to happen though. And Spencer will not want to.
Yeah.
Is not really going to be into wanting Peter to go to the dance with her.
Right.
But Melissa, I think, will be like a liaison of maybe they plan to talk, but Spencer's not into it. I'm just heavily focused on that. Yeah. I think Maya's dead.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Right.
Damn, you really are solid on that.
I am really solid.
Like she's dead.
I really think she's dead.
She's dead.
I hope not, but yeah.
More on that next week.
Yeah.
As I said a few episodes ago, we have the parents, but we don't really have the fathers, and so it's kind of nice to see the fathers.
It'd be nice if Emily's dad flies up and comes to the dance with her. So I hope we see that. And I think they'll have the best relationship, obviously, but like Spencer and Peter will be very cold, and then obviously Arya and Byron are like, don't even bother. So yeah. All right, cool.
Then we got good old Tom in there.
Oh, I didn't even consider him. To me, I'm like,
well, don't consider him.
I'm not.
Oh my gosh! By the way, that made me laugh so much when that was hilarious. I forgot to say this when Hannah's mum made some comment about basically if Tom sued for custody, the only evidence he would need would be the fact that I'd slept with Wilden or something like that. And it was so funny because she said it as if legitimately Tom might sue for custody. And I was like, when has he ever wanted Hannah? Like, he doesn't want her. And she was saying it as if it was this really valid fear, and Hannah got all anxious. I was like, girls, he don't want her. Like,
no.
he dumped her for a new family. He's not suing for custody ever.
Right, and he has his daughter now.
Right, and he moved to Rosewood for 5 seconds. Kate went to school. Kate set herself up to fail, and then they left.
They're not coming back. Why are you all scared? Like, that was so
funny. Kate is priority. Hannah's bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, and she always has been. And, that can give you a complex as a child. And
sure.
Obviously, so for Hannah to be worried and Ashley to be worried, it was funny that, like, really, Tom? Not Tom. He's not going to fight for you.
Tom. No, it's not anytime soon.
No.
Thank you so much, Serena. This was so much fun. I can't believe it. We finally got it to work. So sorry.
Thank you so much.
I love being here. This was so much fun going down memory lane.
Yeah, you should come back for season 3 when Michelle and I start that season.
Please,
that'll be amazing.
And we'll link Serena's channel in the description for the episode. So definitely check her out. You have multiple fandom videos. You have One Tree Hill, which we've covered, Desperate Housewives, Gilmore Girls, all the good stuff. So if you're a fan of teen dramas like us, definitely check out Serena's channel. And we thank you so much again for joining us. It was such a pleasure.
For having me. It was really fun.
Thank you.
I'm so glad. And we'll be back next week for episode 22, Father Knows Best.